everyone! My name is Grace. We're going to share something new with you today. It's a new book. It's called The Wind and the Rose. So it's written by Norman Holmes.
Wait, a new
Whoa.
book? Oh, I'm so excited. Can I see?
Here.
Can I read this book?
Oh, we're actually we're doing a live reading today,
Uh-huh.
and we're actually invited someone else to read it.
Okay. Can I listen to the reading?
Yes, of course.
And our friends too?
Yes, everyone can listen.
Yay!
Hello, friends. Today we will read The Wind and the Rose by Norman Holmes. One warm, sunny day, Wind was on one of his journeys, blowing over plants and trees when he heard someone crying in the field below. He swooshed down to see who it was and found a young rose bush growing among some grass and weeds. As Wind blew nearer, he saw that the rose bush was fairly small and not much more than a leafy stalk with its first flower. It was also a bit wilted and had lost its shine. "Why are you crying?" asked Wind as he hovered over the young plant.
Leave me alone, replied Rose. I'm trying to figure something out.
"But maybe I can help you," said Wind. "I have seen many things during my travels. Many plants, much older and wiser than you, have asked me for advice."
I don't know. I want so much to bloom like the other flowers. But all I have is a single rosebud. I'm not sure I'll ever become a rose bush. Sometimes I feel like closing my leaves and hanging my bud and giving up on trying to bloom at all.
"You mustn't do that," said Wind. "Don't you know? You were planted here to become a beautiful rose bush with beautiful red flowers."
Maybe so, but then why was I planted here in this hard, crusty soil where I often get thirsty? And why am I all alone, except for greedy weeds that try to take all the sunlight? Besides, the gardener who planted me here seems to hardly come around to care for me. I feel I need lots of help, but I don't know who to trust.
"Young Rose, there are many things you don't understand yet. But as you grow, you will see that the gardener never plants anything where the soil is not good for its growth. It's true that you were planted in hard ground, but you should be thankful. As you grow up, you will find your roots will become very strong and able to easily dig deep into the ground. As for the weeds, you should know that the gardener takes care of a very large estate. The lord of the estate has told him to not pull up the weeds in the fields because he doesn't want to do damage to any young roots. If you feel that the weeds around you are being pushy, you have to politely but firmly move them away."
Yes, that's what I will do, replied Rose. Then I will have more sunlight. But what about more water?
As Wind swished around her, he replied, "Young Rose, you need to learn to trust that the gardener knows what is best for you. As you learn to push your roots down, you will find enough water for you to grow big and strong. But roses that are watered a lot often get weak and lazy and never push their roots down deep. You know, sometimes I need to blow by very fast. And if you don't have good roots, you might get pulled up out of the ground."
Oh, that would be awful, said Rose. I'm so glad to be learning these things.
Wind said, "You don't need to worry as long as you trust the gardener's plans. He has helped so many plants to grow up strong and beautiful."
Sir, there is another thing I think a lot about, Rose told Wind. I'm here in this big field with only these weeds around me. I don't think that most of them like me, and I'm not sure that I have any real friends. Can the gardener do anything about that?
Can the gardener do anything about that? Repeated Wind. The gardener can do just about anything as long as it is good, kind, and loving. If we ask the gardener, I'm sure that he would put other nice plants near you, or perhaps transplant you to one of his gardens. But Rose, before we ask him to transplant you, please understand what you are asking. He knows the best place to put you, but you might not agree. You might not like some of your neighbors because they look different and grow different than you do.
What do you mean? Asked Rose.
Well, what would happen if he planted you beside some sunflowers? Those big, stalky things that send their roots down everywhere. You have no idea how fearful some plants can be. They are afraid their roots might get hurt. They need to learn how to grow together, but many plants don't trust the gardener's choice of neighbors for them. Rose thought carefully about what Wind was telling her. Would she trust the gardener to choose for her? As she was still thinking, Wind continued and said, Rose, let me tell you a very special story that might help you grow better and trust the gardener more. Wherever I go, I tell this wonderful story, but I often only gently whisper it because many do not appreciate it well. Perhaps you have already heard some of this story, but you young plants forget things so quickly. Many years ago, the lord of the estate had a son who was outstanding in all that he did. His son became a noble soldier and commander, a wise businessman, and an amazing scholar. But when he was home with his father, what he most enjoyed was being the family gardener. The Lord wanted his son to know how to best take care of all the different plants and flowers. So one day, as we were talking together, we designed a most wondrous plan. With my help, the Lord caused his son to become a plant. The son learned all about the problems and struggles that you plants face because he grew up just like you. I could tell you many stories about how he grew in wisdom and in stature, obtaining favor with everyone. Then you would understand better that he does fully know how to help you properly grow. This is because he went through the same struggles himself. You think that you have gone through difficulties with dry ground and bad company, but you have no idea what the gardener experienced when he was a plant. Let me read you this story about him. Who has believed our message, and to whom has he been revealed? For he grew up as a tender plant, sprouting from a root out of dry ground. There was nothing beautiful or majestic about his appearance, nothing to attract us to him. He was despised and rejected, full of sorrows and well acquainted with grief. We turned away from him and didn't care, even though it was our grief that he carried and our sorrows that weighed him down. Yet it was the Lord's good plan to crush him. He was cut off from life, yet after his suffering he will live again and be given great honor and reward. He will see his seed and prolong his days, and the Lord's plan will prosper in his hand. At this point, Rose interrupted Wind and said,
Sir, are you saying that the gardener's father planned that after he became a plant, he would die?
Rose sighed.
That is one of the things I struggle with the most. How can it be good for a plant to die? Just last week, there was an Easter lily growing on the other side of this field. It had just come into full bloom and was ready to reveal its beauty to all when the gardener came along and cut it down. The rumor is that the dying lily was placed in the Lord's house in a vase. where it was enjoyed for a few days and then thrown out with the garbage. It doesn't seem fair to me that the Lord would have the lily cut down. Not to mention what you just told me about the gardener himself having been cut down to die.
Young Rose, there are so many things that you are not yet able to understand. That is why I am here, to help you. What you have heard about the lily is true, but you only heard part of the story. You need to know all about it if you want to understand the goodness of the gardener and his father. First of all, that Easter lily was specially grown to bring beauty to the Lord's house, even though it was only for a short time. But when its wilted flower was thrown away, that was not the end of the story. The lily's bulb is safe in the ground, and soon it will bring forth life again in the garden of the Lord. This is not the end of the lily. It's only part of the process of new life. The gardener experienced all these things for himself so that he could very tenderly care for all the plants and the flowers that would be chosen for the Lord's gardens. Rose opened her eyes big and said, "There's so much for me to learn. Will I die too? Will I be able to live again?" Young Rose, you worry about many things that you do not fully understand. You do not yet have the wisdom and knowledge to be able to clear up all your struggles. And the more you look at them, the difficulties seem to only get bigger. If you take your eyes off your problems and put your trust in the gardener, you will find peace. He knows more about you than you know about yourself. You can trust him to take care of you completely. Your life has a wonderful purpose. You are to join the glory of the Lord's gardens where everlasting beauty will crown you all of your days. But first, you must keep growing and blossoming, one bud at a time. So keep listening to me whenever I blow past you, and I am sure that with my help, you will grow up to be among the strongest and the most beautiful flowers in the land. As Rose thought about these things, she felt wind's breath blowing on her single budding rose, while rays of sunshine were warming her leaves. She then replied,
"Oh, dear wind, thank you so much for coming down to encourage me today. Now I know better that my life has hope and a good future. Thank you for helping me trust the gardener instead of worrying about myself. Please come talk with me every day, because with your help, I can grow big and strong and become all I am meant to be."
Wind whispered, "Yes, dear Rose, with my help you will surely grow up and reach your full potential. Although I am usually unnoticed, I am always here, and as you breathe, I am in you. Think about what I have told you, and I know that you will perk up and grow up faster than you ever imagined." Rose replied,
"Thank you, dear wind. I hope that we will become the best of friends."
"I do too," said Wind, as he blew onward to continue his journey. The end.